as we're transitioning into the autumn season, I'm going to take you through a couple of different designs that you can use with the same color palette. And to start off, I've already gone through and chose a few different sizes of our full cover nude beige tips. Now you can use these just as themselves. You can polish over them with another color. But what I've done to prep them, I've gone through, I've buffed the surface just with a 180 sponge buffer so it looks a little bit more matte. And then I've already started applying my protein bond. So I like to apply just one quick coat of protein bond. So if I'm using gel polish over these, or if I'm using any of our gel paints like I'm going to be using today, those are going to have really good adhesion. So just one of those steps that I recommend doing just to make sure your adhesion is really on track. So I chose a few different colors from our Mission Control gel paint set. And we're going to start with Coco Loco, which is kind of a pretty, it's got a little bit of a red tone, but a little bit of kind of that reddish brownish, maybe almost kind of a brick kind of a color. And then we've got Clutch, which is a deeper brown. And I'm just taking a little bit of each of these colors onto my palette. You can use them right out of the containers, but for me, I personally like to use the palette just because it's easier for me, but personal preference. And then this one is Loose Lips, kind of a pumpkin-y, salmon-y kind of a color. And then we've also got Floaties. So it's just kind of a softer yellow. And then the last one is Aura. Now this one is a gold, and it's got more of kind of that metallic look to it. So I'm actually going to put a good amount of the Aura on my palette. So that's going to be our colors that we're going to use. Now on my first nail here, I'm going to grab just one of our lint-free wipes. And I'm just going to kind of fold that up a little bit, maybe kind of in quarters like that. And I'm just going to use that kind of as a sponge. Now you guys, if you have sponges and you want to use those work pretty good for this design as well. But I'm just going to kind of tap on a few of those colors. So just kind of putting all those colors kind of randomly onto that nail. Now I'm not trying to really blend them, I'm kind of just putting them next to each other and just kind of getting those colors to sit next to each other. And kind of take out some of that extra paint off of my wipe here, pick up a little bit of my other color. I don't want these to blend together too much, but just kind of coming together next to each other. Again, just kind of covering the whole surface of the nail, but because we've got that beige tip underneath, if I see some of that beige showing through, that's perfectly fine. That's just going to kind of add to the color. It's a great color to just be a part of this design. All right, I think we're good there. Now notice I haven't used my gold just yet. I'm going to give this nail just a really quick freeze in the light, and then we'll do our gold on top. So either, I would say 10 to 30 second freeze just to set that color into place. Okay, so I've got my design just kind of set in place, and I wanted to set that before I put my gold on. I really want that gold to kind of stand out and be more of an accent on the top. So that's why I cured that first layer. I don't want this one really blending in to those other colors. So again, by curing that first layer, it's going to allow my gold to just set on top and kind of be its own layer, but just kind of accenting. Okay, and again, let's pop that back into the light for a 10 to 30 second freeze. Okay, so that's going to be our first design. I'm going to wait until the end to top coat all of these together, and then you guys can see the final look. But let's get on to our next design, or our next idea on how to apply our colors. So I'm going to grab our 6-piece brush set, and I've got 2 of the brushes from this set. One is kind of that small oval shape, and then the other is our ombre brush. You can kind of see it's got a little bit of a feathering to it. So we're going to use both of these. So on this first one, I'm just going to, kind of like we did here, we're just going to kind of randomly place those colors. But on this one, let's see, I think we'll do our middle finger here. But instead of just dabbing the color on there, I'm just going to kind of streak it on there. So on this one, you can kind of see that I'm just going to grab a little bit of colors. I'm not worried about cleaning my brush out every single time because I'm okay with those colors just kind of blending together a little bit. just kind of picking up a little color. Now, if I feel like too much of the colors are starting to blend, then I can just kind of clean out my brush a little bit, get out some of that extra color, and then just kind of move to my next color. This one I am gonna just kind of grab a little bit of that gold in between there to accent. And just kind of placing colors wherever you feel like you need that color, whether you need a little bit of darkness over on the side here. Maybe we want to lighten up over on this side a little bit. And then just kind of blending those a little bit. So at this point, I am going to clean out my brush and just gently kind of swipe through. I'm not trying to completely blend them, but just pulling them together a little bit so that it's not quite those harsh lines between. And you guys, all of these designs that I'm showing you are great options for a solid colored nail. You can use them as maybe a background color. So if you're somebody that does a lot of hand painting, you guys, these colors, this combination here would be great for maybe painting some fall leaves over the top, something like that. I'm not a great hand painter, so that's why I do tend to like more of these abstract kind of designs. But I really think this could be a beautiful background or just a solid nail. Okay, so again, I didn't quite blend all of those together. I left it kind of piecey. I left it kind of separated a little bit. Again, if you have a little bit of that beige tip showing through underneath, perfectly fine. It's just going to add color to that design. So let's go ahead and freeze this one into place. Same thing, another 10 to 30 seconds. Okay, so that was our second design. So the third one, that's where I'm going to use my ombre brush. So I'm going to take back to my original palette. I think I'm going to need a little bit more of that yellow. And with this one, I'm going to use that ombre brush. I want to make sure that this is nice and clean so that I don't have a lot of gel in there. So I'm just going to kind of fold that wipe over and kind of pull my brush through. So that way it's really going to clean those bristles out and kind of separate them a little bit more so that I get really a good kind of ombre kind of a blend. So I'm going to take a little bit of each color and maybe I'll kind of double dip my brush on this one. Get a little bit of both of those colors in there. And I'm just going to sweep that color about halfway up the nail. I'm not going to cover the whole nail on this one. This one we're actually going to use that beige color as a base. So again, using the beige as part of our design. Just picking up little bits of that color, kind of sweeping up. And I love this brush because it does give you kind of that piecey look. It's going to blend those colors together, but it's going to kind of keep them somewhat separated. Now, if you keep working and you keep brushing and keep blending, that's where you're going to really get those colors blended together as that ombre. So if you want to keep it a little bit more piecey as it is now, you can stop. If you want to blend a little bit more, just keep brushing through it. So add a little bit of that gold accent. Just kind of pulling that up. I'm going to pull that back just a little bit farther. And again, this is going to kind of blend those colors a little bit more. And maybe we'll add just a little bit of a darker accent right over here on the side. Maybe a little bit more of that brown. And it's fun, you guys, because you can start to kind of layer this design. Now, say you like this design, but maybe you want to add more gold, but you don't want it to really blend in. You could go back into the light, freeze this into place, and then add a little bit more of that gold. And I think I'm going to do that here. Oh, I like that last little streak right in there. So let's take a little bit of that, maybe just a little bit more. Okay, so I'm really liking how that's looking, but I do want a little bit more of that gold accent. So I'm going to go back into the light, freeze that back into place for about 10 seconds, and then we'll add more of that gold. In the meantime, I'm just going to clean out my brush really quick, get all of those other colors out, so that all I'm going to be adding in is going to be that gold. So grabbing a little bit more of that gold, and we'll just kind of feather that up into our design. Again, you can pull this back as far as you want. you can kind of give a little bit of that gold kind of fade out right up into that beige color. And just kind of blend that out. Okay, I'm really liking how that's looking, so I'm going to get that back into the light, and then we'll finish up the set. Okay, so our designs are cured. Now at this point, we're going to go through and top coat them, and we're going to finish the set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a shiny top coat on our designs, and then we're going to finish the 2 beige nails with a matte. Now I am going to add in one other thing. If you're going to be doing this design on the beige tips, you can use just the tips as they are and then top coat over that. If you want to add a little bit more durability to the nails, or if you are going to use these as a stick-on nail with the sticky tabs, you can use the Beige 101 to give your nail a little bit more color over the top. Okay, so that first layer, we're going to just go into the light for a quick 30-second freeze. Okay, so at this point, you can decide, do you want a second coat of color? It may or may not. The Beige 101 does cover pretty well, especially when you're working over the beige tips. Now, if you're doing this design over an enhancement or on a natural nail as well, you can do that. Then I would definitely do 2 coats of the Beige 101 as a solid color. We'll cure that again for another 30 seconds, and then we'll top coat. Okay, so our gel polish is cured. I'm going to use our Ultimate Finish top coat to top coat our colored nails here, our design nails. So again, just the shiny top coat on our designs. And then I'm going to use our matte finish top coat over those solid colors, just to kind of give it a little bit, I always like to say, a little bit more interest. We're going to fully cure both of these for a full 60 seconds. Okay, so our nails are cured out. So again, the ones that I used the Ultimate Finish on, those are completely dry. There's no tacky surface. On my 2 matte ones, I am going to use our ManiQ Cleanse, and we're going to use that on one of our lint-free wipes. I'm going to cleanse off that tacky surface, and that's going to leave us with that really pretty matte finish. All right, so we've got our final look of all 3 different kind of designs using the same color palette. Enjoy your fall.